And we're live. Alrighty, y'all. Welcome back to day 2 of the 17. There's actually much to go over today. I ended up having taking 2 trades, and it's pretty interesting because if you see the past video or 2, I've been talking about how I've been I've been scoping out for SMCI for this reversal bounce. I've been testing it for several days now, taking little baby losses, such as yesterday, how I showed you guys. And this morning, as it was gapping down a little bit from yesterday's price, this kind of signaling that there's more buyers. Sellers are kind of either exhausted, and short sellers are covering their positions. Again, for those that are new to this, those might be more kind of like not familiar terms, but for those who aren't not familiar with them, you know what I'm talking about. So meaning all that I just mentioned is helping drive the price up on this stock that has come down from the 50s where it was trading not too long ago. So right now, this play right here is essentially like a first green day play that I'm playing now, being that it's been coming down so much. Pretty much looks like it bottomed out in the 20s. It could come back down to the 20s and even break that level, but we'll see. The plan right now is to continue joining the trend. So I actually got into this stock this morning, and I'm currently holding a average of 170 shares. Let me get this up over here. I've got 170 shares with a 2285 average. So once the market opened, I started sizing into my position pretty much right at market open. I kind of quickly picked up around 100 shares around in the 2250s because, again, this trend change right here is kind of signaling me that we're going to continue on a little bounce. So I was willing to risk right there about $1 per share if it went against me. So I got in around 2250. I scooped up 100 shares. Ideally risking like 2150s. If it comes down around this area, I mean, I don't want to be in it because who knows, it's probably going to keep on going down. But no, it actually confirmed and the price kept going up. So I actually added to my position. I got fully sized in the low 24s. Yeah, in the low 24s is when I added pretty much what I would call my full position in here. So I'm currently holding 170 shares at a 2285 average. And the goal right here is to, ideally if this keeps running, to sell it anywhere in this range from $26 to $28. I want to see what it does tomorrow in pre-market and even right at market open. Whether this gaps down, it could crap out and that could be the top right here in the 25s and just continues going down, or it continues a trend. So I didn't lock in any profits on it because my plan was to let this one run. And I'm currently up. I'll show you today's profit and loss. So TVGN is the other stock that I'll trade, which I'll go over right now. But currently in SMCI, I'm up pretty much $450. I could have taken that profit if I was looking to just, take profit, but that's my target wasn't to sell in the 25s. I think if I were to sell right there, that's me being impatient at least today. If tomorrow I see it not doing much and it hangs around the same price, if it doesn't gap down, then that's a whole nother story. But again, the plan is to sell it in anywhere between the 26 to 28 range, depending on price action. So we'll be testing it out tomorrow. So technically today, non-realized is around $400. I took this little baby loss on TVGN, which was kind of annoying loss, being that I just kind of tested this trade right here and it ended up going against me, and I wasn't looking, so it went a little bit further than I wanted it. Honestly, part of me thinks I shouldn't have been in it in the first place because it was pretty speculative play. But again, that's trading. I was more focused on SMCI as I had a larger bulk of my size in this stock. So again, the goal is to sell it a few dollars higher up. We'll see what it does tomorrow. If it continues this bounce. This right here, I have a line right at 28 because I believe that's one of the more significant levels. Ideally, this goes up into that level, and that's when it craps out, or either continues going up. Who knows? But I would be selling ideally most of my position in those levels, which would be a pretty sweet trade. The other stock that I trade was TVGN, kind of with the same idea. This thing was running the past week or two. It went up a lot, and this is a daily chart right here. So this is what it did every day. It went from being in the 20-30 cents all the way up to $3, and now it's back down to around $1. So I'm looking for that pattern, which I call a first green day. In certain markets, that's actually one of my favorite patterns because you can really get a good risk to reward, and it's a pretty predictable pattern. When something, it's like what you're seeing here, things only run so much before they crap down, and the same way they only run down so much before they have a little bounce or big bounce, depends on the stock. But sometimes they don't. Sometimes these things continue running up and people lose a bunch of money who are shorting it, and people make a lot of money who are in the stock, and vice versa. This thing just continues to go down back into the 20-30 cent areas where it was at. We don't know. I don't want to predict anything. I'm just letting price action dictate my trade, and if it fits one of my patterns. So for this one, I was actually in here in the morning. I saw that it was holding this the 120s from yesterday, which was a low from yesterday. So I started sizing into this. I only had 300 shares in the 130s and 135 area. So I started getting in here, ideally risking this here, the 125, meaning that if it cracks this level, then that's a signal that there's not enough strength. But I didn't see this. I got distracted and I see it until it was around here in the 117s. So again, it was a small loss. It was around $55, but I was planning with the small size that I had. I was planning to only risk like $20-30. But again, that happens. You have to be fully focused. I made the mistake of not paying attention to this trade because I was so focused on the other one, and that's trading. So those were the two trades of the day. Again, technically it was a red day because realized I only have the loss. Right now I'm up this amount, but it's not realized, meaning that I haven't sold my position, so that money's technically not in my account. But ideally this continues to run up tomorrow, and this can look much better. That's something also that I've learned over the years, of being more patient and just letting a good trade go higher, especially when you have a plan. A lot of times, especially in the beginning when you don't know what you're doing, you'll be up, some money, and it's kind of like, oh shit, you get impatient because you just want to take your profit, especially if you're constantly losing and, you're losing larger amounts and you're winning, and then you get into a trade where you're actually greening. You'll have a tendency to just want to take your profit. But again, after years of rinsing and repeating this stuff, you get better being more patient and letting those types of play run. And this one, worst case scenario, it comes back down and I break even. I wouldn't want to hold it if this comes down to the same price that I'm in, because then that's just showing me that it's not really going to have a bounce. So I think I'm in a pretty sweet position in that stock. Now for what I'm watching tomorrow, the Trump media stock is still in play. This thing dropped a lot in price the past 2 or 3 days. Right now it's around 25. So this right here is actually getting primed for a nice reversal play, meaning that it can have a bounce in price. And the lower it goes, the better, because more people that are shorting it that will be covering their positions, bringing that price up. More people are looking to dip buy it, so we could have a pretty solid bounce depending on how low this goes. We can see this coming up into the 30s, low 30s. So we're gonna continue watching it. Currently, tomorrow, if this plays out tomorrow, I'm not gonna have too much buying power because I have money tied in SMCI right now. If I was trading with a larger account right now, then I'd be solid to just freely size into DJT. But again, that's in the scenario that this actually gives us a trade, or gives me a trade tomorrow, which unless I see something super ideal for me that I feel comfortable with, then I'll go ahead and take it. Other than that, this SPPL stock, I've been talking about it for the past few days too. I talked about in the past video of how actually I tried trading it yesterday, took a loss on it. So I was trying to see today if this held a price to see if it was going to continue running. It looks like it's crapping out. Right now I'm going to keep it on watch just to see if it gets some volume. And this gives us what would in a way be like a first green day. But I don't know how I feel about it, being that it looks kind of choppy and the volume is pretty low. So I think the liquidity is leaving this stock right now. But again, we'll see. These types of runs, you never want to fully take them out of your stack because they could come back and give some type of play. This PACS stock, I've also been watching in the past few days, being that it has gapped down a lot. Right here actually would have been a pretty sweet entry in the morning, right here in the 17s and low 18s, being that we had a bottom right here at 1670 yesterday. But this wasn't my focus stock. It's kind of random too. I want to gauge a little bit more into the price action. I wasn't paying much attention to it. But this right here would have been fit also actually one of my patterns, which is a large gap down on the big stock and then trading that bounce back up. Which sometimes I see these freaking come down and then come right back up to the price that they were at. And that is just due to so many different factors. Stock market is rigged. A lot of these stocks are the insiders playing around with the price. So you really never know what these things are going to do. But again, over time you get more familiar with them. You get familiar with funky types of price actions because you've seen it so much. And you know whether if you want to stay away or you want to play. Actually, some of my larger gains have come from stocks like this, where kind of like here it just like drops 50, 60, 70%. Literally in minutes and an hour it would be like gapping down and just like halting, and then it has one of these bounces right here. And I'll be watching it closely for when it seems to be bottoming out, and then I'll just catch that reversal. Ideally, sometimes you don't even have to size in too much because it'll make some crazy moves. Like right here, it bounced like $10. So even right there, just grabbing 100 shares, which is like $2,000 from my account, I can make anywhere between like $5,000 to $1,000 in the span of an hour. But those are more risky. I've also lost significantly on those types of plays because I think I have the bottom and then it just continued going down, and if you get caught in a halt down, then it's all bad because now you're freaking out. You don't know if it's gonna open up super lower. I've been stuck in halts. Oh my god, I just remember right now. I was stuck in a halt for like a week or two. This stock where and for those who don't know, when a stock is halted, when it's having a lot of volatility, the SEC, which is this agency that regulates like the stock market, they'll halt a stock. They'll stop the trading of a stock. They do investigations. They look into why the price action is so volatile. Who the heck knows? So I should probably do more research on exactly what they do during that time. But it's not uncommon for these things to halt. These little dots right here means that it was halted. So the price wasn't moving during that time. You couldn't buy or sell out if you have a position. So I've been stuck in a halt for like a week or two. And I believe I had like $1,500 from my account in that trade. This must have been... This was last year. This was early last summer, I remember talking to my trading buddies, just telling them how I was all freaked out for like days because I didn't know what the heck was going to happen, if the stock was going to open up and, you know, crap out, just be like super lower than the price that it had closed at. It was this like sketchy Chinese stock, so it was pretty terrible. It was a pretty terrible experience. I was kind of just expecting the worst. I was like, well, you know, worst case scenario, I lose those $1,500, and, you know, I learn a big lesson. And luckily I didn't. Luckily it finally opened up, and I ended up making, like, if I recall correctly, like $200-300 on it. So actually been a good trade, but that was definitely not worth it. That was definitely not worth the money that I made on it, because I was stressing out the whole time, you know, that it was halted and I couldn't get my money out, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And as humans, we tend to go to worst case scenario. But yeah, that's an experience that, you know, some of us as traders will go through, and it's not a nice one. Forget why I was giving that a rant, but pretty much those are my main watches. Obviously tomorrow SMCI, let's see what this does. Ideally this continues to run higher, and I exit again in those high 20s, low 30s even. Let's see, I'm being optimistic with it. If not, worst case scenario, this craps out and I just sell out and I don't end up losing any money but not making anything in the trade, which that happens as well. Happens frequently, more frequently than I would like, but it's part of the game depending on the market. Right now it's supposed to be a hot market. Different traders that I follow have been talking about how they're expecting a pretty hot market. You know, even the next few years, being on the results of the election, and people just kind of being excited about the economy. So let's see what happens. One of the OGs, Tim Bowen, is one of the traders that I follow. That's actually one of the mentors from this platform that I use for stocks to trade, was talking about how he's expecting this market to look like the market in 2020. And for those who were around during that market, I always describe it as a gold rush for the stock market during 2020 and early 2021. That's when I was learning how to trade. So I actually didn't really I lost money during that time because I was, you know, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was barely getting into the game. But if we were to get a market like that right now, let's go. Essentially, I've been preparing for a market as such where, you know, things are just running and all patterns are working, and people are just making money left and right because everything, you know, is there's a lot of money in the market. So let's see. Ideally, it's been 4 years, 3-4 years since that. They say that usually you have those types of markets like every 5-6 years. So hopefully we get to see that, and I would give you guys some pretty sweet content. But for now, we play what we got. I stick to my patterns. There's days where there's not going to be a play. There's days like today where there is going to be a play because I'm like looking for it. That's another thing that you really have to be really prepared. Right here, the best entry was right at the open. Ideally, I would have kept that trade from yesterday, those 120 shares that I had down here, and added today, and I would have even a better average. But again, I got stomped out. Things happen. I'm back in the trade. I'm still I feel like in the right place. So this continues the trend for this bounce. So let's see what happens. Tune in tomorrow to find out what happens on the third day of the 17-day trading challenge, I guess. It's not even a challenge. I mentioned that a couple times already. But yeah. Alrighty, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.